Hi, and welcome to Coach's Corner, where systems matter and both personal and professional learning and development is beneficial for everyone and essential for some. As always, please like, subscribe, comment, share, and hit the notification bell. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, we're back for part 2 of getting to know Beautiful Minds Brett Zandis, Coach LC23. We talked about him from ages 0 to 30, so now we'll talk to him from 30 to 50. And we talked about the holistic system and the individual system, and now we're going to bring in the company system.
Yeah.
So you don't need to touch bases on the holistic system or the individual system, but if you could touch bases and kind of talk to us a little bit about the company system before we get into it, from 30 to 50.
Yeah. So it starts with preliminary remarks to get started. Say that 3 times fast. Yeah. Right. And then it goes into creating a culture of excellence. Mm-hmm. Then it goes into design for long-term sustainability. Mm-hmm. And then it goes the heart of the matter. Mm-hmm. And then the next one's kind of interesting words. Assessing certain very important information.
Yep. Okay.
That one needs some work, I think. Since we decided that we're going to start sharing with people, you really start to be even more thoughtful. And I'm like, that's a little rough on the tongue, but we'll figure it out.
Got it.
But conceptually, it stays the same. And then it goes into moving beyond current best thinking. Mm-hmm. And then from there, it goes into finishing up in grand fashion.
Got it. And as you can see, I will have these written down so that I don't mispronounce them or forget them.
Yeah, you can go PRTGS and all the above.
Right.
And I would like to just explain a little bit of each section or title in this case. So preliminary remarks get started. We start with what we call charting, mm-hmm. which is thoughts, thinking, ideas. It could be new or because it's a cyclical system. Mm-hmm. I say like the elevator goes back up the backside and the front side of the system. But we chart and then we outline and then we do what we call prototype packaging.
Okay. So
that's primarily in the preliminary remarks get started. Mm-hmm. And then from there it goes into creating a culture of excellence, mm-hmm. which is both static and it's dynamic, so to speak. And not in the terms like you and I would usually say static and dynamic, because static and dynamic would mean something as the Webster's definition, but in our world it means something different.
Okay.
But to elaborate on that for you, if nothing else, because you'll be like, that's weird. Yeah. So in creating a culture of excellence, you have your horizon statement, your mission statement, your vision statement, your tagline, your motto, all this. Yeah. That's not going to change. Mm-hmm. But as far as creating a culture of excellence, that's ongoing and continuous. So maybe that's a better way to say it. One is ongoing and continuous. Right. One happened in the charting, the outlining, and the prototyping, and is now pretty well locked in.
Right.
Now, the standards part of that, what we call setting standards, which is our goals and stuff,
yeah.
Obviously that's going to change every year.
Right.
But the rest of it, if our mission is to level the playing field for youth in one of our companies, that's not going to change tomorrow or the next day. We want to continue to do that. So does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
And then we go into design for long-term sustainability. And that's really like our library, our cataloged, indexed, whatever. So, that's where our messages stay for what we call blinking or continuous flashing or different things of that nature. Now, each one of those components will have like a marching order and some sort of a library or basement or, different things of that nature.
Got it.
But in the end, that's like the big one where we house all of our stuff, the cloud, so to speak. And then the heart of the matter is just a do piece. Mm-hmm. And so we usually say, hey, here are the orders. Do you need any training based off of those orders? Or like, no, I've been doing this every day for 17 years.
Yeah.
And then it always ends in what we call the Ricky recording, which are their actionables, their activities that they do. And then they data entry that. And then that goes into the next part, which is the long-winded assessing certain very important information. Right. And that's going to be all your data collection. Mm-hmm. And then from there, you're going to, go into moving beyond current best thinking, which is where you're kind of working with likes and dislikes and celebrations and different things of that nature. And then finishing up in grand fashion is just really making sure that you're really consciously competent about all of these things as they are going down there. And then this side goes back up the elevator, we go back up the charting, it goes back down. And then there's the frontal view where, so the people that are behind the scenes, I call them the muckety mucks, the people that are, CEOs and different things, they get to see behind the vault or the scenes. Right. And then everybody else would get to see, what's going on in front of them, so to speak. Got it. So that gives you a kind of a baseline of what I call the company system or a business system or an entrepreneurial system. Right. And it's a system that's universal. You can plug anything into. Okay. A year ago, we plugged in 3 businesses to it just because somebody made me mad. And I go, oh, you think it won't work? Right. I go, I'll plug in 3 businesses. You pick the businesses. And they were all profitable within, anywhere from 120 days all the way to 365. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. There you go. I didn't want any more businesses, but they ticked me off. So. Yeah.
Got it. So from, as we get started with the ages from 31 to 35.
Yeah.
Is that right? No, 30 to 35. Yeah. Sorry. I was right. 31 to 35. We'll start with the holistic system.
Yeah.
With spiritual religious. How was that? Where were you at, during that time?
Yeah. So very strong. I had, as we had said in a previous video, I think this is a 2-parter, that, my little aide was yippity yap talking. And so I went and mainly was just really studying that Bible to prove him wrong. And that turned into like a full-time gig for me where I really enjoyed it. And so I spent a lot of time in the Bible, praying, witnessing, meeting, church, Sabbath school. I mean, I did a bunch of that kind of stuff.
Got it. Okay. And then moving into family and friends from that age.
Yeah. So with the family and friends, as we kind of talked about in the previous video, it still stays where you have a bunch of friends because you don't have kids. Yeah. You have no friends because they have their kids and they're dealing with that, so on and so forth. Yeah. So I think that pretty much, basically stayed the same. I like to say they're your proximity friends, meaning people you work with. Right. So I had a good buddy that I taught PE with, and we were on the tail end of that because I was going in the after-school program. But, we coached together. We sat in the PE locker room together. We even did our classes together. We played, we did all that. And so, I've talked to him one time in 4 years, Yeah. So I think there's proximity friends, or what I call that God will put into your life for that time. Yeah. And it's a good little fit.
Got it. And then moving into your health physical now from ages 31 to 35.
Yeah, still really good, but it was going to be the start of it going bad because I was busy 8 hours a day running around with the kids, shooting, Then I went in to be the program manager, 223 employees. You're behind a desk for part of that time. So I'd get there early, 6, 7, 8 in the morning, and then you're behind the desk until like 2 when the after-school program started. And then from 2 to 6, of course, you're out in the field, coaching, teaching, doing whatever. Right. But, you go sit. And so I didn't ever think about it. But sometime within that 5-year period, I went from probably 180, 190 to 210, like that. Right. And it didn't really dawn on me. It didn't click. It didn't make sense to me. Yeah. And so I didn't understand it. I'm like, now I look back, yeah, you idiot. You weren't running up and down with those kids, 8 periods a day plus after school for the, the coaching.
Right. Gotcha. That's funny. And then when it comes to personal social now for, 31 to 35, still collecting and different things like that.
Yeah, collecting and better vacations, making more money and, different things of that nature. But, those two, the hobby stayed with me pretty good. Okay. I mean, there was ups and downs with it like anything else, but and then and we weren't big goers, and I had seen so many things from early on. And my wife, she's more of like stay at home. It's like one of those things like, hey, we're gonna go to Alaska, and it's like you get there and you're like, leading up to it, you're like, Yeah. And then you get there and you're like, oh, this is the best decision. Right. You know, one of those deals. So we've been doing that off and on for 20 years.
Got it. Okay. And then now you're into a new career material with after school at this time.
Yes. And the tail end of that time frame, like at 35, yeah, I started my first and second, like what I would call legitimate business.
Okay.
And we'll talk more about that, I'm sure, career material. But yeah, that was what was going on there.
Got it. And so now as we move into the individual system,
yeah,
with your mindset.
Again, height of the market, things are going well. We're trying to build the best after school program in the state and the nation, which I believe we did.
Yeah.
We're a lot of people working together and coming together as one. 223 people is no joke.
Yeah.
And we did some really good things with the youth out in our district and with the adults.
Right.
With both of them. We really were able to do some amazing things with them. And a lot of those people that were paraprofessionals worked, say that 3 times fast, working with the kids, wound up being teachers in our district too.
Okay.
So that was really cool.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I can imagine with 223 youth and how many adults was it?
So,
or was it 223 adults?
Yeah, 223 adults, 10,000 youth.
Got it.
At the time.
That you'd have to be pretty organized.
Very.
How was that?
Well, we were on it.
Yeah.
We had systems every which way. We were organized. We knew, it took us a couple of years to figure it out. Like I've told you before, my first day of doing the after school program ever, when I was the site director, not the program manager, but I just had one site. I had 300 parents coming through 2 doors and the same 300 going out,
Yeah.
And so you learn, right? And so we had it down after about 3 years.
Okay.
I would say after 8 months, we had it down to a pretty good system. Yeah. But at the end of 3 years, it was like this. Yeah. And that's when we started to, after about 3 years, started going out to help other people. And so other school districts that were running after school programs, because it was new to them.
Got it. Okay.
And so because we were systemic, the state came in, California Department of Education and different things of that nature came in and said, hey, will you guys start going out and really starting to help others? And so they formed 11 regions and different things.
Okay.
And then my mom, she was like the Michael Jordan of after school programming. And so we would go out and help and systematize and work with and all that.
Got it. And then with the due piece of solution showcase.
Yeah, I mean, there was no rest for the weary, as they say. I mean, we're working 10, 12 hours a day. We're now starting to travel towards the end of that. Once when I was 35, I got into, I have bad allergies. So I was going to solve the world's allergy problem. So I bought like $3,500 worth of stuff. And the next day I actually get one of the guys that I fired. That was one of those 223. Kept bothering me. Come check out this opportunity. Come check out this opportunity. All that.
Yeah.
And so that's when I got in the financial services business. So there was a lot of solution showcase, a lot of due piece going.
Got it. Okay. And then with collecting data.
Yeah, same thing. So we were already at the heightened sense of where we were at. It was very formal, which allowed us to relax and do it more informal.
Yeah.
We had systems hooked to processes hooked to procedures. So it was just free flowing, dude.
Right.
And so when you see some of these great sports teams,
yeah,
they're systemic, and that's where we were at. We were, for a low budget. I mean, we don't have millions and billions of dollars like some of these sports teams. We were really on it.
Got it. And then I'm assuming the same thing with thoughtful advancement.
Absolutely, everything. It just was so systemic all the way down. Right, it was like my first basketball system when I was, started when I was 18 and kind of got perfected when I was 25. I used to tell people from the time we got off the bus till the time we got back on, everything would flow together.
Yeah.
So my offense, we'd score, would go into my press. My press would fall back into my defense. My defense, rebounding, which would go into my break. Side inbounds went into any one of those 3 things. Underneath inbounds went into that. So everything, all of the schematics, all of the mindset, all of the skills, everything that needed to happen was there. And so when you find something like that, that you can model after, then the next thing that you do is that much easier because you just plug into it and then you make the slight adaptations that you need to for that.
Right, got it. And at this point, were you running this system, individual system, formally, and then also your employees running
Absolutely.
They both. So
and the kids.
And the kids, okay.
Yeah, this was cyclical.
Got it.
So, and of course, it would get watered down with the kids, you know. Right? Remember when I taught you, you're like,
yeah.
This is my mindset. I'm like, all right, close enough.
Yeah.
But, you just kept working on those types of things.
Okay.
So I would say that it was getting very formal in my mind.
Okay.
And for the after school program.
Right.
But it was less about that we were actually teaching it to both in a very thoughtful, systemic way. So it was there, but it wasn't like there.
Got it.
Yeah, it was more informal.
Okay. And then with 31 to 35, had the company system come into play yet, or was that after you created your first business?
Yeah, and I would say, probably it really started to come into play maybe, like 40 to 45.
Okay.
So there were parts of it and pieces of it that we would do.
Right. Could you have been smart and all your systems.
Yeah, commingle all the systems together, interweave them, braid them, weave them together, all that. But, there was no need for a company system because I didn't really have what I call a company system.
Okay.
But we were trying things out in the after school program. Yeah. So most people think like schools and school districts are not business, they're business.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, everything's big business.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're one of the biggest businesses, right? And so we were doing some things around that and learning from 30 to 35.
Okay.
And then as I was kind of heading out from the after school program and getting into the financial services businesses and my own businesses, then it became, a lot more intentional and formal. Okay. But we had hints of that was starting to spread down. And we knew it worked because like I tell everybody, like an entrepreneur land or business land or whatever, when you can go deep, meaning I can touch it, you could just be great and you could have no system.
Right.
But when you start going wide, if you don't have a system, it's going to fall apart.
Right.
Bad.
Got it.
Yeah.
So then, with moving to 36 to 40.
Yeah.
We'll talk about all three systems now a little bit, or a little bit more with the company system.
Yeah.
But now you've started your first business.
Yeah.
And are now out of the school.
Yeah.
And at this point, you're not coaching me, your son at this point. Is that correct? Or was it on the tail end of like around 39, 40 that you were?
You know better than that than me, but I know that I had started my own business. So when I left the school district, I went into this financial services industry under another company.
Yes.
And then I was like, I don't like what they're doing here. And so I went to another company for about a month. The knee-jerk reaction. And I go, you know what? I can do this better than either one of these guys. So I said, I'm going to go build one of the best financial services industries that the world had ever known.
Got it.
Right, through the systems. And then at the tail end of like maybe 39, 40, somewhere in there, we get a call from somebody that we work with down south in the after-school program. And they go, hey, let's meet up. And I said, nope. I'm doing this. They go, please, So they baited me in, and it was this gal and my mom. Let's just have lunch. So they sucker me in, and they go, we heard that your system is really getting heightened, blah blah blah. And so that was really our second business, which was Consult for Kids.
Got it. So and coaching was from 41 to 45. So we'll get into the next one. So
yeah.
So now with the holistic system and the spiritual religious side, how are you there?
Things start to falter, right? It's like we talked about. This balance is a bunch of crap. Whoever says that. So if we look at the 5 things within the holistic system, spiritual religious is going down because the career material was at a heightened sense of whatever. Plus my family as well, because the kids and stuff, which my wife took the brunt of that. Right. Because I'm over here and I was driving 2 hours to LA Monday morning and then staying until Thursday night and coming back. So she took the brunt of that. So her, family, friends was way up here.
Yeah. Spiritual
religion for both of us was way down here. I'm way crazy off the deep end, off career material. Right. And, physical health, I don't know anything about that. I just completely said, screw that.
Okay.
Personal, social, right? So, because we were really going for, in the areas that made sense for each of us.
Got it. And so then moving into family friends for that 5-year period, it was...
I don't think I had any.
Yeah. It was about when you were 0 to 5, right?
Yeah, it was like... Yeah. And I would go, who are you? Right? I wake up, like I said, I'd be gone, Monday through Thursday night or whatever you say that. So Friday, night, I'd stay the night in my own bed. And Saturday, I look up and I go, who are you? Right? She's like, I'm your wife of 15 years and your girlfriend of another 15, you idiot.
Yeah.
Right? So it was, it was tough.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, health, physical, probably the worst it's ever been.
Oh, yeah. I think I got up to somewhere in there. I got to 270 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And I run about 250 now. Mm-hmm. But I work out, so it's not a bad 250 in my belly, I guess. Mm-hmm. But it was a bad 270. It was a fluffy, soft 270. And, I was eating out all the time,
So it could have been good because you were in hotel after hotel.
Yeah, and we got a little apartment in Santa Ana. Because we were with the largest after-school program in the world. And, there... They had 4 different regions, and they had 2,000 employees and probably served however many hundreds of thousands of kids.
Yeah.
And we really helped them to develop some of their systems. We did a lot of their training and leadership and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, that happened for probably 2 or 3 years. And then we had several of our consultants in the field. So we would train them in theory, and they would go into the field. And so, yeah, it was, in hindsight...
Yeah. Health, physical, 5 years.
Yeah, you're eating out fast food all the time. It's probably not a good situation.
Yeah, and then I can assume that for the next 5 years, your personal social was very small or minimal as well.
Yeah, I couldn't collect. I couldn't do anything.
Yeah,
I'm sure I went time to time and different things, but yeah, there was none of that.
Right. Okay.
I was doing career material, and my wife was. Doing family friends,
yeah.
Raising the kids, yeah.
And then with with career material now, at this point, I believe that in one of your videos you said this was the time that you met your business mentor, Les.
Yeah, Les. So he was at the tip end of that, like at 35. Mm-hmm. And he taught, God's a funny dude.
Yeah.
Right? So he taught me how to do networking and referrals.
Okay.
And really networking. He had one system, and he wouldn't let you deviate off of it.
Okay.
But he has 4,500 agents now, so I'm imagining he's...
Well, he's got a system.
Yeah, he does have a system. We used to butt heads pretty good, but yeah, I really enjoyed him and needed him, and I didn't know I was going into
all this
business. I didn't know, So God's funny. He's got a sense of humor for sure. What the heck, is there a bug up there? But yeah, so... and he was very good. He really taught me a lot about business, how to sell, how to negotiate, how to, do networking really well, stay in a hot market.
Yeah.
Stuff that's critically important for any business.
Right. And then now, you've opened your own business, GFI.
Yeah, Global Freedom Insurance.
Yeah, which is now, you said, your second or first legitimate business.
It was my first one.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was our first one. That was our first corporation.
Okay.
And then after a couple of years, they suckered me in, and Consult for Kids became a DBA underneath there.
Yeah.
Which I know they don't really go together, but in my mind, everything we do helps youth.
Right.
Because all of our money will go back there some way. Not all of it, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I got it. And so, running your first, legitimate business, or your first business, that had to been tough, not easy, because you really didn't know what you were. You knew what you were doing because you had 223 employees, but running your first own business, was it tough or no? Not necessarily.
Very tough, because when you are given, we had to hire them.
Yeah.
But you're given the 223 people. You're giving the students.
Right.
You're giving the money. You're you're giving all this stuff. Well, I had to go recruit people from scratch, right? And he had a good system for that. But I mean, look at a deck of cards.
Yeah.
There's only so many aces. There's only so many kings. There's a lot of 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s.
Yeah.
But until you get to those face cards, those are the go-getters.
Right.
And so, you're recruiting people in, and your back door is bigger than your front, because in the deck there's a lot more 2s through 10s than there are jacks, queens, kings, and aces.
Right.
So that was hard. And the other part about it is when you get to a face card, they don't really want to be bothered much. Right? So I had to learn the hard way sometimes, where I'd recruit these great people and I would be on them too much because, come on, we got to do this. But they would do their own thing. Yeah. But I tried to explain to them, that's not systemic. I tell people are not duplicatable, but systems are.
Right.
And a lot of people that are face cards, they don't get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I say, you could go out and do $1 million a year on your own pen. But the goal is, the reason you partially got in this business is so you could do $1 million by training others to do what you do. That's when it's fun. And so they couldn't get that or grasp that concept.
Got it.
And so that was so that's difficult by here you go versus you got to go from scratch and build all that.
Got it.
Because I can have the best system in the world. I don't have anybody to use it with but myself.
Right.
Yeah, that's tough.
Got it. And then so as we move to the individual system with mindset, where were you there?
Up and down, right? You recruit somebody in, you're high. It's a teeter-totter. It's a roller coaster. Mm-hmm. You're for the first time in my life, I didn't know where my next paycheck was coming from, so it's a little bit nerve-wracking and scary. And do I spend more time recruiting? Do I spend more time selling? Do I spend, I got to feed my family, right?
Absolutely.
So it's just trying to, kind of muddle through that along the way. And there was many people I brought in the business, they could never get past being their own boss. So I would, call them, hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm waiting to make some phone calls. It's 9 o'clock. I'm like, for what? Well, they're probably, then, at noon or something then 3 days later, hey, what are you doing? Well, I'm waiting. What the hell are you waiting for?
Right.
Make some contacts, dude. That's the only way you got to get the word out. You got to blink on people, right?
Right.
And, and then it was, at 1 o'clock. Well, I'm waiting because maybe they need to digest their food. There's always these excuses.
Yeah.
And they weren't able to be self-mastered and self-disciplined enough to go out and do the things that were necessary, because it was really an easy business.
Right.
Find contacts, set appointments, give a presentation, collect a check, rinse, repeat.
Yeah.
And then if you wanted to go into the recruiting business, go recruit somebody, teach them how to set appointments, teach them how to give the blah, blah, or what I call the blah, blah, the presentation, the sales pitch, and then collect the check. Mm-hmm. And then, right? I mean, that's the whole business.
Yeah.
It's really simple.
Got it. And was it tough on the mind for you for both, one, this extra weight that was gained just kind of in a snap of a finger, and then also not spending time with, wife and the 2 kids?
No, and I didn't even think about it, dude. I get so focused and so driven on my task at hand. I'm like a cobra on a mouse.
Yeah.
Like that mouse ain't gonna make it out that room.
Okay.
I'm very intense. I've probably been a great surgeon.
Yeah.
I can keep my attention span for 12 hours. Like, when you were born, mm-hmm. they did the suction cup, and your head was this long. You look like Maggie Simpson.
Yeah.
And I sat there for like 4 hours. I didn't move.
Mm-hmm.
All this, the family behind, because I was like, man, if you hurt my son, we're gonna have a problem. My firstborn,
Yeah.
And so I could be very focused for a very long period of time.
Got it. And then I'm assuming that you're getting organized. Had it got better, running your own business on top of having all these employees. Is that true?
Better and worse. So, right. So you don't have as much time. So, you would think it would get better.
Right.
So, and then you start running away from the system a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's what I call the raccoon effect.
Yeah.
Right? The raccoon chases the next shiny object.
Yeah.
Right? And that's no good.
Right.
So I was doing that. Right? I was like, I got to drive to LA. I got to do this. I got to recruit this. I got to instead of just going, no, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? Mindset, get organized, solution showcase, collect the data, right?
Yeah.
And that's where people get screwed up because most people don't have a system.
Yeah.
If they do have a system, they don't have a mentor that can really help them.
Mm-hmm.
So you're double whammied. And then on top of that, if you don't have any of that, or if you do have any of that, you can get sidetracked really easy because it doesn't always work the way that you want it to. It doesn't always so I was the leading guy in the first financial services business. I was a leading recruiter and I was a leading sales guy. And so, I do a $50,000 deal.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, wow, I'm like, you guys don't get it. I would do my 1,000, 2,000, 1,000, 1,500, 900, right? And then you would run into the whale.
Right.
These guys wanted to go out and whale fish.
Yeah.
I didn't do that. I went out and tried to find the mackerel or the little guys,
Yeah.
And then you're going to run into a whale.
Eventually.
Yeah. And so, your first whale, you're like, hey, Les, come talk to right? Because you don't know. You think it's no different.
Right,
but you think it's different.
Yeah.
Because you don't know. I didn't have experience a whale.
Yeah.
I could get the,
yeah.
The shark in or the,
yeah.
The marlin,
Yeah.
I could get those in, but how do you get a whale in?
Right.
And then you learn. And so you got to have that learner's mentality all the way through. You have the best system in the world, but there'll be little slight tweaks and adjustments to it. And that's why I say have a mentor, because they may be able to see something that you haven't because they've experienced it longer or whatever.
Got it. And then with the solution showcase, you were obviously doing.
Just busy. I mean, it was freaky. I remember saying when I was 18 years old, or no, I'm sorry, when I was 20 years old, 21 years old, we already talked about that. So I'm getting up at 4 a.m. I'm working 2 hours, 8 hours for the teaching credential program. I got another 2 hours of practice.
Yeah.
Right? 18 hours a day. And I remember saying, I can't wait to get out of here so I don't have to put in that much time. Well, be careful what you ask for.
Right. And then, with collecting data and thoughtful advancement, how are those?
Same thing, sporadic, right?
Okay.
So more informal than formal because, it takes a little time at first.
Right.
To collect data.
Yeah.
But in the end, if you're the supervisor, you're the boss, if you're mom or dad, it's better to collect that data because then you know how to thoughtfully advance. So, but it's sporadic, right?
Yeah.
I had this perfect system and it'll work for anything.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not executing the perfect system,
duh. Got it.
New England Patriots.
And then as we move to your company system, it's the first time you're really running this.
Yeah.
So talk about, how that looked for, the preliminary remarks to get started.
We didn't even do that right at the beginning. I'm sure we did informally chart. I call it course charting.
Yeah.
Thoughts, thinking, ideas. Brainstorming.
Mm-hmm.
And especially at first with that other business because he just told you what to do.
Yeah.
So you really didn't have to do a lot. But as I started with my own business, Global Freedom Insurance, and then also consult for kids. Mm-hmm. Then we had to start to be more thoughtful about it. But not a lot initially with preliminary remarks to get started.
Okay.
We did a lot around creating a culture of excellence because it was fun because we were doing it kind of simultaneously with this big nonprofit that we were working with and us because they came about at the same time. So we were like training them, but we're really training ourselves too.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So we had the system and we knew what to do, but it was like, well, wait a minute, a horizon statement? That's probably important in our business too,
Right, yeah.
Whereas when we were at the school system, I think we had a mission statement. That was it because they already had all those other things in place.
Right.
So we said, well, we at least want to level the playing field for youth.
Got it.
Right? Because they were in a lower socioeconomic background area. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to level it so that they could compete.
Got it. So as you were doing, creating culture of excellence or design for a long time, as you were teaching it, you were also learning it yourself.
Basically, and adding to it or subtracting or, because sometimes in theory, it's like, oh, here's the great system. And then you go out and practice, you're like I told you before, I go to school for 5 years, get my credential, and the first day, a little kid comes up and goes, hey, you little mother effer, to me. Yeah. And I said, So I look in my book and I'm like, I don't remember taking notes on that. Right.
Yeah.
So there's the do piece of it. So I say there's the theory part of it where you kind of outline it.
Yeah.
Then you kind of actualize it in theory.
Right.
You know, kind of measure twice, measure 3 times. Then you go out and cut, and you just cut your doggone finger off. And you're like, well, that wasn't very smart.
Yeah.
So how do you pivot? How do you know? So we were trying to work it through from 35 to 40, but there was the makings of each of them. And we didn't call them the same things in the after-school program. But it was, conceptually, it was the same.
Got it.
But now we started to put language around it, like assessing certain very important information. How wonderful is that?
Got it. So then, asking you about the heart of the matter, assessing very important information. Is it even smart to ask because you don't? It'd be next 41 to 45.
Yeah, that's when it started to come together. But I do want to say that each of those were happening, in our original profession of after-school programming. It just wasn't really named and defined,
right?
But we were doing stuff with it, right? Okay. And then over here, it started to define its way out. Then when we got to go do it, I used to love it because I'm like, they're paying me to build my own company, right? Because that they were literally going on at the same time. There was no Consult for Kids, and then they said, well, come meet with the CEO. Yeah. They sucker me in, and I go, okay, and then it said, well, and then so. Boom, we're off. Yeah.
Got it.
So yeah, there's not a lot to ask there, but I do want to say that I think there's informal learning and there's the formal or informal part of theory and actualizing and back and forth and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But then you got to take it out in the real world and see if it works.
No, absolutely. I mean, before we jump into 41 to 45, really you've been developing both the holistic and individualism your whole life.
Yes.
But really from 20 to 35, it seems like is when it really took or maybe I should say from 20 to 30 it took a jump, but 30 to 40 is when it took its biggest jumps.
I would say so I think it went from informal, which means like kind of it just was happening, to formal but in theory, and then formal in what I call actual, but it's still in paper land.
Okay.
And now the last 12 years, we were able to take it out. And we said, okay, we helped this company tremendously while we were helping ourselves. Then we opened up another business. Then, in the last 5 or so years, all the consulting and training that we did here, we said, well, wait a minute. It's no different than a business.
Got it.
Now we started to go out and open up more businesses, but we also did more consulting and training with businesses as we were going.
Got it.
So, you know what I mean? It was kind of to where it became an actual. And so now, if we said red shirt on Monday, now they were wearing a red shirt on Monday and it made sense.
Okay.
So now it's coming full circle together.
Got it. And so from 41 to 45, you are now back in business with your mom.
Yeah. I don't think so. Okay. I think she had quit being a principal and a teacher and all that.
Yeah.
And she was doing her own consulting still and whatever. And so I would say that informally we maybe were doing some things, but it was really kind of whatever.
Okay.
And then pretty quickly we said, why don't we merge this? Because I think she had like Xanda's Consulting or something.
Got it.
And she's like, hey, I like Consult for Kids. Why don't we merge it? Okay. And so, or I said, however that played out. And that's when we started merging, probably about 7. I'm not good with time frames, so please, if I say my kid's 23, it could be 43. I really don't know.
Got it.
So please don't hold that against me. But I think that's about the timing of it.
Okay. And then I know that you were now coaching me at this time for the 4 years that I was in high school.
Yeah, so let's figure it out. So we got it all figured out. We're making a crap ton of money. I don't have to work.
Right.
I can retire. Done. So, what does any good person do that loves to work? He sat back for a half a day and goes, what's next?
Yeah.
Right? And so, and that's a little bit of a fib because I kind of relaxed for a little while.
Yeah. It wasn't long, but...
Yeah, it wasn't long, but maybe a few months because I had worked, to the nubs. Yeah. I'd really worked hard to get that up and going, and we were helping a bunch of kids and different things of that nature, and it was just kind of running now on its own.
Got it.
And I wasn't ready to go to the next level, so I just kind of chilled out. And then you, Mr. Idiot, comes to me. He's in 8th grade. He's played every sport, been highly successful across the board. And he goes, I'm quitting all sports and I want to become a decathlete. And so I said, well, I was a decathlete, but I never talked to him much about it because I didn't want to push him either direction. So I go, this will last 2 weeks, right? So I buy him, I don't know if you remember that little weight set I bought you.
15-pound bar.
Yeah, and I'm like, this guy, because I don't want to spend a lot of money on you.
No, because I was always jumping from sport to sport.
Even if I had it, I didn't want to spend it on you. Sorry, but so anyway, 7-8 year career and broke all kinds of records. But I remember when he's pumping these weights out, and after about 3 months, I'm like, I don't know, we had some makeshift wacky
squat bar.
Yeah, squat bar almost killed everybody.
Held up by bungees.
Yeah, bungees and tape and stuff. And I'm like, I guess he's serious.
Yeah.
So we went and got the gym membership, and the rest is history. But yeah.
So now from 41 to 45, you're chilling out a little bit, not long, but so were you able to get back into the swing of things with spiritual religious?
I don't think so.
Okay.
There was a time when I did, and I don't remember what the age was, but I would say it was weak. Okay. So like even if I was doing it, it wasn't like heartfelt or whatever. It was like, oh, I got like a checklist.
Yeah.
And I had never really been like that because I just enjoy. I'm very practical and pragmatic, and I feel like God is about as practical and pragmatic as you can be.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
As a man thinketh, so he is. Well, that works for me. Right? Be kind to others. Huh. Novel concept. Right? Go out and share, with others, me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right? It's just so simple to me.
Got it.
But I felt like I was doing it more for the first time, maybe because I had to, or I should, or different things like that.
Got it. And so then, what about family, friends now? How was that for those 5 years, 41 to 45? Able to get back into the swing of things with Todd, Tina, different things like that?
Yeah, we got to enjoy, especially with their youngest daughter, with Maddie. She was doing track, she was doing cross country, she did soccer.
Yeah.
And so, we got to miss the older brothers stuff because I was still...
Right.
And then it relaxed down, and so spent a lot of time with Maddie and different things of that nature. And plus, we had our own, kids doing different things.
Yeah.
You were doing all the sports, and Ryan was doing all the music type stuff. You know.
Got it. And then what about health, physical? Able to get that back to where you were?
I've never got back to where I need to be, and I'm a little bit ticked about that. So I challenge all the viewers. Listen to your parents. Yeah. My dad had told me, he said, you got to watch yourself from like 30 to 35. I'm like, watch myself. I'm like, I'm a stud. Yeah. Right? Like, what do you mean? And then he told me 35 to 40. And it never really dawned on me. And so at this point, it started to dawn on me. It started to wear on me a little bit. And, wasn't working out as much, wasn't doing the cardio, And then you come around, and now I'm freaking like, Hulk Hogan again, doing like a teenager workout. But it never did come around. The consumption for me was always an issue.
Right. You were still doing the workout, snatches, cleans, bench, squat, everything else.
Yeah, and running around with you for 4. I mean, even if I'm not doing your workout, I'm walking. I used to look at my phone, it'd be like 17,000 steps. Yeah. But I think once you lose that metabolism and stuff like that, I think you could be in trouble. And I think that's where I'm at now. And so I'm just now getting ready to come out of it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
In 90 days from now, I'll be like his size, like, hey, how you doing, everybody? I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
Got it.
Because it won't be easy. It'll be, I think, I'm not going to say the fight of my life because I've had a few.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a fight.
Fight for sure. Yeah. And then going into personal, social, what did that look like for you from 41 to 45?
Well, it can look like any way I want because, you have money, you have, time, you have different things of that nature. Yeah. But I just kept to, where I was at. I hadn't collected anything for a lot of years because I was doing all the business and stuff. And you know, we were still going on vacations and stuff. But even like you know, your senior year, we take you to Hawaii, right? Your senior year in high school.
I believe that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the year before that we went to Alaska, or 2 years before that, whatever.
Yeah.
So you know, we were still going to do it, but my mind was always on this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm now I get to be in the moment. You know, like
Right.
I'm really thinking about like, okay, that guy, that one view,
Yeah.
may be able to. He may
Right.
go one thing, you know, because I don't enjoy talking about myself. I always think like, who gives a crap?
Yeah.
You know, but you know, maybe something that I'm saying will help. And I know you enjoy hearing people's stories,
Yeah.
and I do too. I like hearing people's stories, but
Talk about it.
well, yeah, and then usually they got to be somebody. I'm a somebody in my little world, right? You know.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
And then now with career material, like you said, at this point you can retire if you wanted to, not that you will or anything. But what did that look like for you?
Just, you know, kind of a hodgepodge, and you know, mainly, you know, my career materials with you. I mean, 5 hours a day, and then I was pretty thoughtful on, you know, your workouts and stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, so, you know, maybe in the end that was, you know, the majority of my day, and then making sure that the business was still operational and going good and different things of that nature. But you know, I think that I primarily shifted my career material to you, which I would count more as a personal social, or
it was kind of a
more than family friends, because it was because I enjoyed that. I mean, even though I wanted to strangle and kill you most of the time, you know, but I still enjoyed that.
Yeah. No, yeah. What else I did? With the individual system, you know, the last couple times it's been, you know, the height of it. Did any of that really change, or was that all kind of the same with, you know, mindset, getting organized, solution show?
All the same, other than I was able to really start to pass that to you.
Right, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember growing up. You know, we talked about it. We kind of did it, but then, you know, around that time's when.
Right, mainly in the summer.
Yeah.
Right, and I had a little system for you guys, but we started to get serious about it. You know, and remember that whole gradual release.
Right.
I do all 4, you do 0, 2 and 2, 2 and 2, and then you do. And I think that we were, you know, trying to do that. So it wasn't with me as much.
Right.
Although I believe you have to practice what you preach. So I still did it.
Yeah.
But it was fun to start being able to pass that on to you. I'd pass it on to tens of thousands and millions of others.
Right.
Either directly or one removed or so.
Right.
So it was cool to see it with you, and you know, you were a heck of an athlete.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think that everyone said it starts with the mind. It really did.
Yeah, but you weren't like the most athletic guy out there, right? I mean, you were on the smaller side. You were tall, but you were small. But I mean, you had a lot of athletic ability, and you were a good athlete. But I think the system really helped.
Yeah.
So that was good for me to see that. It's been helping out here.
Right.
What about my own doggone son? You know, they say Jesus can't be a prophet in his hometown.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was hard for you, because you're like, well, he's just my dad. He can't know much.
Right. It's tough, but no, it definitely. I know, you know, when talking about it in different interviews after meets and stuff, it always come back to that. Well, you know, it's the system that has really helped, and when you're in the middle of it, you don't see it as much.
No.
But when you have that hindsight, or you take a look back and you see what happened from your freshman year to your senior year of high school, you can see, you know, a lot of things change.
Well, and bigger than that, right? So, you know, kudos to you, a big compliment to you. And I've been telling you the last couple weeks to a month or so, right? I get it. I've been you before. You got to get out of the house. You're like, screw your dad, right? I mean, you got to be able to do those things. But what I'm starting to see, and most people don't start this till they're 28, 30, if ever. And I emphasize if ever. The hemispheres of your brains don't come together till you're 28. I'm serious. It's medical, whatever. But you're starting to do things now that whether it's informal or formal, that are systems related, that are mindset. And I know that you pushed against them at first, because who wants to do that? Right? Who wants to do that extra work? I mean, nobody knows what you went through, right? I mean, most people aren't willing to give their whole life into something like you gave for, you know, 7 years. And I didn't force you, or I'm like, dude, that's on you. And I would ask you every year, what are you trying to accomplish? If you would have been like, I want to be the best at league, I'd be like, well, good luck to you. I'll come watch your meets. Well, okay, well, I want to be the best in the valley. Okay, well, I'll see you once a week. Right? Because you were talented enough to do those things. Yeah. Hey, I want to go to the state meet. Well, we might want to see each other a couple days a week. But you always said, no, I want national level. Yeah. Well, we might want to do this 5 to 6 days a week. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so now with, talking about, this will be the first time we can talk about the company system.
Yeah.
So what did the preliminary marks to get started look like for you in the company?
Yeah, so first of all, let's look at the parallels, right? So spiritual religion, it's, a lot of that's in your mind and different things. Well, so's mindset. Well, guess what? So's preliminary marks to get started and creating a culture of excellence. Right. Because, these are 5. Yeah. And there's 7 over here, but the first 2 go with that. So I started to run parallels. Yeah. When you were talking at the beginning, interwoven and interweaving those, braiding those, weaving those together. And so I was able to do that, and that's where it came up with, what am I really doing? I always ask myself, like, what am I really doing? I go, okay, well, I'm kind of charting the course. Yeah. So I go, oh, that's a good, so we would call them like the title, and then we would call them tab overs. Yeah. And then there would be the section, and then the category, and then the arena. And then it depends how many far it goes over, Yeah. We've had some that go over what we call 24 Ds. Yeah. 24 tab overs. It's like, oh my God. Right. And so, that went from charting. Mm-hmm. And then I said, well, what do I do after I chart? I go, I outline. Mm-hmm. I go, okay, well, what do I do after the outline? I go, I give it to grandma so she can prototype it, or I give it to somebody else so they can prototype it, right? But she does the prototyping on, like with the lesson plans. Yeah. I said, hey, I want to do lesson plans around sports cards. Yeah. And so, I did this, I did charting, I did that. So usually I'm the charter and the outliner, and then somebody else will be the prototype, just like with you. Yeah. Right? When we try different things, I'm like, boom, boom. And then you go make that happen. Yeah. You got to create this. You got to make this meme, this blah, blah, whatever the case may be. So that's kind of that whole first section.
Got it. And then going into design for a long-term.
Yeah, it's a mouthful. Yeah. I get it. I understand.
What was that looking like for you?
So we were like, okay, so we're doing all this good work here. Where do we put it? Okay. So we're doing all this good work, and we create all these horizon and mission and vision statements, and And we already had this great system of creating a culture of excellence. Yeah. From the time that I first started coaching, right, or even before then, yeah. Right. Mindset. So we said, where are we going to put it? And so we go, well, let's create, and then design for long-term sustainability came around. Okay. How do you get organized? How do you organize? Right. Not just how do you get organized, like, again, running a parallel with getting organized with the, mindset, get organized. Yeah. How do you do this over the company system? Well, we got to have a place to house stuff. So, well, how do we house it? Well, let's break it down by this and this and this, you know what I mean? Yeah. Because we could get pretty anal, at least I can. Yeah. 1.1, 1.12, 1.13. Or, in the end, we want to make it simple so it is duplicatable. Anybody can do it.
Got it. And then the heart of the matter.
Do it, baby. It's everything, Yeah. And so that's a parallel. It's simple parallel. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, in the holistic system, there's no real do there because it's all do. Yeah. But, the solution showcase and the heart of the matter, they're the same. No, okay. Yeah, go do stuff.
Got it. And then assessing certain very important information.
Yes, sir. That's a good one. Yeah. Say that 8 times fast.
It runs parallel to collecting data.
That's right. Okay. And so we collect the data in there. Mm-hmm. And then, there's also the moving beyond current best thinking, which are similar to those, right? Yeah. But mainly what we said is, assessing certain very important information is the same thing as collecting the data. Mm-hmm. So we were very thoughtful. What do we put in there? What's important to us? Right. So one of the things that we track, and by the way, I know the number now, not exact number, but we've been saying we've helped 40 million youth. Yeah. It's like 37 million, blah blah, and some change, right? So I knew we were close to that, but now I can be historically correct or whatever. But that was our number one thing. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about Our number one thing was how many youth could we help? Then how many adults and our grown-ups, which are the same, but we just call them something different. It's not a big deal. Yeah. But we would do that. And so we created a thing that we said outstanding opportunity.
Okay.
Right? And so up above that, we said, you know, what we call like an accumulation achievements, which is how many of these youth have we helped, how many, you know, so on and so forth. And then we'll set our standards around this. So what you realize is that your standards should fit in line with your marching orders, which should fit in line with what you're tracking, which should fit in line with your creating a culture of excellence, your horizon, because, you know, it's easy to get off track.
Yeah.
You know, life isn't about Disneyland where you're in that little bumper car thing and yeah, you know, or the tricycle. You know, you got to put your big boy panties on and big girl panties on, and you got to get out off track sometimes and see what's really going on.
Right.
So those things were really kind of a simple transition for us. So simple, but, you know, 10 to 100 times larger.
Right. And then I forget the MB one, and finish up in grand fashion.
Yeah, moving beyond current best thinking, which would be like thoughtful advancement.
Got it.
And so is finishing up with grand fashion. Those are those, you know, because there's only 5.
Right.
So that one equals those 2, which is likes, dislikes, so on and so forth. And then that last part, the reason we added it was we said before we get back up to charting, because it's a cyclical system, I said, let's get some stuff here, almost like some prep work. And let's really make sure that we go through what's working, what's not working, what's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I can't waste ever.
Yeah.
So I say, as we're taking whatever we learned here, we got to get a microphone, and we're going back up the back side of the system, up to charting the course. I said, we're going to act like we're looking at other things that we want to make sure that we always keep in mind, so that we don't ever forget, like, well, is it just about this? Oh, no, it's about this, this, and this. And what about that? And that, you know, so that we're, you know, as we're conveyor belting up, we can go, oh, there's the basketball cards. Oh, there's the football cards. Oh, there's the baseball cards. Oh, there's the bobbleheads. Oh, there's the, right?
Yeah.
So that we can also not just go, okay, we have everything down at the bottom of the elevator and we're just going to go up.
Right.
Because we're wasting 7 floors in my mind. I don't like waste.
Yeah.
So no. Be consciously competent, be thoughtful, and look at the thing as you're going up. I know it whacks everybody out, but that's just how I roll.
Gotcha. And then, was there a reason why for individual system, holistic system, you had 5, and then for this one you had 7?
Yeah, because it made sense.
It made sense. Okay.
Yeah, we're very simple.
Got it.
Now, there's certain things that I won't say we force, but I think I talked about this earlier, that 3s and 5s, 7s seem to work. I don't know why that is, but I mean, you think about it.
Yeah.
You know, somebody asks you questions. You know, is it 1, 2, or 3? Like, that's just simple.
Yeah.
You start getting to 4 and 5, it's like, huh? Right. But I mean, how simple can it be? Mindset. And here are the 5 to 7 things you can do. If you're a little kid, do this one.
Yeah.
If you're a whack job like me, do all 7.
Yeah.
And maybe figure out 8. You know, whatever. Right. So I think that it's just what made sense. Okay. Yeah, it's just bigger. It's bigger than an individual. There's more stuff there.
Got it.
So we just thought that was a really good spot to do some extras as we're going back up.
Got it. And then finishing up, from 46 to 50 now.
Yeah. Can we just go to 52 and close it out?
Yeah, I'll do that. 56 to 52. Or
am I 52? I think I'm 52.
Yeah, somewhere.
My IQ is 52. I know that.
With holistic system, where are you at, with your spiritual religion right now, and starting around 46?
Getting ready to get back into it. We've got one final push of some things that we're doing, to really just kind of clean up the system and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it's pretty grueling right now. 12, 14 hours a day. I mean, even at this stuff here. I choose to do it, about 4 or 5 hours a week, but it's still time spent. It's busy. So, but I think in the next month or 2, I'm ready.
Get back in.
Yeah, sometimes when you fall away a little bit, you're ready.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta, what do they say? You gotta lose something for how important it was to you.
Yeah.
So I'm not where I want to be in any way, but God and I have a pretty good informal relationship. I talk to him a lot.
Got it.
And I see a lot of God winks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, I would say 15 to 20 times a day I'm trash talking him in some way. And my name is Nick Zandis, right? No, but we have a good fun time. Before my feet hit the bed, I'm praying.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. And the last thing I do before I go to bed at night. Yeah.
And then, how about with family and friends? Where is that at? 46 to now.
For me, it's great. For a lot of people, if they were to look at my situation, they'd be like, I think you and I probably this is the closest and the best relationship we've had.
Yeah.
My youngest, same thing. My wife and I are doing spectacular.
Yeah.
My mom and I always do good, but we have the business, so that that could be. I think she's upset with me right now. Forgive me, G-Ma. But that's always good, and then I really adore my wife's side of the family.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so and I like your new girlfriend a bunch.
Yeah.
So I know Todd and Tina.
Yeah.
My wife talks to Tina 3 times a week.
You and Todd talk once every 3 months.
Yeah, or 3 years. It doesn't matter for us because we get right back into it. But yeah, so a lot of people be like, oh, I want more. I want that. Yeah. It's perfect for me.
Perfect for you. Gotcha. And then moving into health physical, I know that you're making a push and have had enough of that. So,
yeah. So I'm starting to consume differently. I've always kind of, stayed active.
Yeah.
Which is always a trip to me. I mean, how can you walk, 40 minutes to 60 minutes a day and then stay at a certain weight? And I quit for a year on purpose to see what would happen.
Yeah.
Freaking stayed the same.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you? It's 80 or 90%, I think, what you consume.
Yeah.
Probably 10% stress, cortisol or whatever. And then, I mean, if I really wanted to break it down, there's genetics in there, sleep. But yeah, so I'm going to start. I was listening to a guy on YouTube. See, I listen.
Yeah.
And I'll let you know how it goes. Because I really like the guy a bunch. And I think he's smart. And I think what he says makes sense. Mm-hmm. And I'm just that kind of guy. Like, if 1 + 1, it equals 2 every time. And I don't need no algebraic equation.
Yeah.
Ancient hieroglyphics over here. That word is was.
Yeah.
And so, with systems in particular, people don't realize how hard it is to get a really good system, because a really good system is simple. Mm-hmm. And so I've had people go, that took you 9 months? And I'm like, after you pick your teeth up out of the ground, because I socked you, because they don't realize how intense it is. It's very difficult. And especially this last push for us, because we're trying to intermingle it all together. Right. And when you're used to going over what I call 7 Ds to 14 Ds, and now we're at 24.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the wordsmithing alone is tough. So I tell people, if they ever say, well, you said this in that video, I'm like, it's conceptually the same thing. Yeah. Whether I call it promotional persistence today or blinking burst tomorrow, it's the same thing. Yeah. Right? Because it's, because sometimes just the words.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want to go in the huddle and go blinking bursts and then change it to promotional persistence, because they have a different meaning. Mm-hmm. But right now, conceptually, it's like, hey, go to the tree and I'll hit you. I'm going to figure out the name of the play later.
Right.
Yeah, so we're trying to get really intentional, because again, when you have the depth where I can touch it all, you don't have to have the system 100% perfect.
Yeah.
But if you're going to start sharing it with others, which is what we're deciding to do, because it's been effective, you got to cross some T's and dot some I's. So that'll be our final push. Probably take another 90 days, and then it'll, really tight.
Gotcha. And that was the career material test, right? That's correct.
The what?
The career material side of.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm a clumper. I clump stuff together. You've asked me spiritual, religious stuff, and I'm talking about career material and different. I just know we were at 50 to 52.
Yeah, I remember. You mean 46 to 52?
Yeah, what?
And I think, okay, so now we're
okay, wait a minute. Yeah. I got to put on the rally cap.
I was starting to think, and then I got lost. And then...
Well, I think I went in a different direction. Right? Okay. After 4 hours, you're like, what's your name, boy?
So with the individual system,
yes.
Is it much of the same as, from, at the height of everything, or has anything changed for you for mindset, getting organized?
Just be more and longer, because my goals are becoming bigger and whatever. And more's not always better.
Yeah.
So I'm working through that too. So if I had 5 things before that I do each day that would take 20 or 30 minutes in the mindset, maybe I have 10. But what I may do is go alternate days. I'm not sure yet.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm going to finish getting that, completely organized, and then I'm going to play.
Got it.
Try with it and stuff. But, the system, when it's not gigantic, then, it's like, you do the same thing every day.
Right.
But then you want to play. Now you had 2 things, different things like that.
Got it. And then for the last one, talking about the company system with preliminary marks to get started.
Yeah.
And creating a culture of excellence.
Yeah.
Where is that at right now?
It's pretty tight. It's going to get extremely tight. So again, the problem is not only do you have 24 Ds that you go over to, again, in charting, you're just, it's in your head only. And then you start outlining it, which, it starts to go, okay. But then you have to plug in the what I call the actuals to the theory of the outline. And then you go, okay, it's perfect. And then you take it out in the field and you go, they sunk my battleship, right? Or why did my boat just sink? Well, because you didn't put a plug at the bottom, idiot. Right. So, you think about all these things and you go, oh, yeah. And even if you have a great system, you have Tide the detergent. Right. New Tide with bleach, it may not work because the bleach may disintegrate your previous detergent. Yeah. Right? So you're like, what the heck? You don't know until you play with it. Right. And while you're, playing over here in the mad scientist lab, you still got to be out here doing too. So sometimes it feels like you're free falling as you're building a plane, or you're flying a plane, which we do have one. Yeah. But sometimes you have to go run back while it's still flying autopilot. I got to fix this like Star Wars or something. Right. These guys, but we're in the final stages of getting stuff really tight.
Got it.
And I think are you starting to see it tighten up?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially as I got older. I mean, back in the days, you don't see those as much.
Yeah.
Even though they're talked about, you don't see it.
Yeah.
Versus now.
Yeah.
And then with design for a long-term sustainability.
Yes.
Where is that at? How's that?
Well, we're trying to figure out the cloud, and because when there's iterations, so I had 250,000 files that I was pulling over to my computer, which didn't have enough, whatever the terminology is. Yeah. Because I'm a dinosaur, Yeah. My wife's like, you got to get a new phone. I'm like, no. So I had a flip phone while everybody else had whatever. Yeah. And then she's like, oh, you got to have the iPhone. I'm like, no. And I don't know. Yeah, whatever, crap, whatever. And then you got involved and whatever. They bring me stuff and I'm like, yeah, I work 4 buttons. Yeah. But I'm learning, I'm trying to learn some of this stuff because I think that's only really the way to share it in masses. Yeah. So in the end, I don't remember what your doggone question was, do you?
Yeah. How are you aware are you with design?
Yeah. So, we're figuring out what for sure goes in this part of the library. What goes on this part, and then how do we get it to the cloud, and how do we not, duplicate anything, but not throw anything away that may be important, not now, but maybe in a year, So there's just that stuff, which is not fun. I'm going through files right now that only I can go through because I created the systems part of that to know what can stay and what can go, and it sucks. Yeah.
And then with the heart of the matter or the do piece.
Just always doing, man, and sometimes we do things that are smarter than others, but sometimes the bump in the set, as long as you're spiking, is okay. Right. But a lot of people just always bump and set, or as we've talked about, ready set. Yeah. We do some ready, like we're going back a little bit to do some ready set. Yeah. And getting this tighter and whatever, but we're still going. We're still doing. But once we get this kind of worked through a little bit tighter, we'll go out and really do. Because a lot of what we did in the past, we didn't have to do any marketing or anything. Right. Yeah. Yeah, because word of mouth, they knew we were the best at what we did. So, right. They had thrown contracts at us. You know?
Got it. And then with assessing certain very important information.
Yeah.
How is that? Where is that?
Well, because you have to do it. It's getting tighter. Yeah. So I say that we go from a manual world, which takes longer, right, to a semi-automatic world to a fully automated, and we're getting close to being fully automated.
Right. where you want to go.
Yeah, because now that becomes a system within a system that we could share with people.
Right.
Right, which is cool.
And then I always forget that one and then finish up in grand fashion.
Well, if you think about, let's see, so moving beyond current best thinking.
There you go.
But we used to always say that is, what's your current best thinking? We used to ask the room that.
Right.
What's your current best thinking? Well, red shirt on Monday. Okay, well, then we talk about, well, what makes sense about that? Why not a blue shirt? Why not a green? We do the what's, what, open-ended questions. So if you look at it like that, CBT, current best thinking. Yeah, and then I don't know how you remember the MB, but that's on your own. Yeah. Just go, current best thinking.
Yeah. So where, how is that looking? Where is that at, with you as a whole organization?
We're getting a lot tighter with it. We're, kind of rinse and repeat to everything else that we've talked about.
Yeah.
But it's something we've always done pretty good. I haven't been doing a lot of celebrating because when I get in this mode of, I'm the cobra on the mouse. So I just got to get it done. I got to get it done. Mr. Chicago Bears guy, he got me going on that like a raccoon. I couldn't get off of it.
What was that?
He wants Chicago Bears stuff.
Oh,
I had to go through about, 50,000 cards, which I did not want to take that bird walk. But because I care about people first, and I know he really wanted them, I think he's doing his man cave or something. And so I was like, I can't give this to anybody else because they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
Because a lot of these, bears are older. Yeah. And, so it's just like, oh my gosh. And I just, yeah. So it has not been a fun bird walk. But whether it's one person or whether it's, tens of millions or whether it's tens of thousands or whatever, I will always do what's best for the person first in most cases.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, we appreciate it a bunch. It was a long one. And we look forward to talking next week about, we were going to talk about questions, you as a coach and your leadership program.
No, I think next week we're going to do all Cora.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I do a lot with Cora. I'll get on there and, do a couple 8 or 10 answers. And I get a lot of requests. So I thought that would be good because I'm sure that, that audience would be similar to people that wanted to know. Yeah. And those would be very specific.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. We appreciate it and look forward to it.
Appreciate you, buddy.
If you need to contact Brett or Coach, please do so on his social media accounts, email, and or text. You can find that information in the description below. Again, please like, subscribe, comment, share, and hit the notification bell. Thanks, and we hope you enjoyed.
It's been a long day.